Hey everyone, it's Robert Mann, and today we're talking about continual professional development requirements for architects and building designers in Australia. So, what exactly is CPD? It's all about ensuring that professionals keep their skill and knowledge up to date. Most professionals have their own version of this, but for architects, in New South Wales, for example, CPD requirements are set by the New South Wales Registration Board, which is NSWARB. From the 1st of July 2022, the ARB has included 3 new mandatory requirements for formal CPD. So the formal component represents 10 hours and the informal component is another 10 hours. So 20 hours is a minimum each year. Now the 3 new topics, the first one is the most unique or the most different that we haven't seen before, and that's understanding and respecting country. What is it? So the competency for this is described as navigating the relationship with Indigenous lands and people as part of everyday practice. And a course that's recently been created by the AIA, the Australian Institute of Architects, suggests that they're trying to promote the following: teaching architects to honour country through design, while bringing the client along for the reconciliation journey. So I don't know much more about it at the moment. I'm going to be completing this training course soon, so I'll be able to tell you more about it then. The next topic that's a mandatory component for CPD is sustainability, life cycle assessment, and whole life carbon. So sustainability has been a big topic for quite a long time, and this is one that I've researched thoroughly through the years. The change, therefore, is not that it's a new topic, but they're now making it a mandatory topic. And then the third one is National Construction Code. Now, hopefully, people know a lot about the National Construction Code and have been making that part of their continual professional development for a long time. But as of 2022, we have a new NCC. So it's a good time for everyone to update their understanding of the industry's most important technical document. There's components in there that should relate to everyone's architectural practice. So making it a mandatory component makes sense. Now let's talk about building designers. So that was for architects, CPD for architects, but what about building designers? Unlike registered architects, building designers don't typically have the same level of education or experience or examination requirements, and they're not registered with the Architectural Registration Board, and they can't legally use the title architect, as we've talked about before. But they still have to make sure that the buildings that they design comply with the building codes and regulations, and they can still be held liable for any issues that arise from omissions or mistakes or oversights. Like, say, as we've seen recently, a building collapses or has structural issues. Now, whose fault is that? We're going to talk more about insurances and liability and all that in another video, but the simple reality is that everyone involved can be seen as at fault, whether that's the designer, the architect or building designer, the engineer, the developer, the builder, the certifier. Therefore, each state in Australia is developing strategies to only allow registered building designers to obtain certain types of approvals. In New South Wales, this means that building designers need to be qualified and registered in order to design Class 2 buildings. What that really means is when you've got multiple residential buildings, instead of a row house or a dual occupancy where they're side by side, that means we've got multiple residences that are stacked on top of each other. Of course, this creates a lot bigger issues for safety, fire safety, structural adequacy potentially as well, acoustic separation. And so because of that extra level of complication, they're making this part of the state government legislation. That means that a building like that, which would normally need to be designed by an architect, now can be done by a building designer, but only if they're registered and have a qualification, which is effectively a TAFE diploma in building design, to show that they have the competence, the capability to design a building like that. Now, the Building Designers Association of Australia also has CPD requirements for its members, but these aren't quite as strict as the ones for registered architects. The BDAA membership is really the gold standard for building designers in Australia, and they really are pushing the validity of having a membership or a recognition with the BDAA as making it almost equivalent to an architect. Now, it's sort of funny. We have these two professional industries, architecture and building design, and of course, the silly reality is it's sort of the same thing, right? They're both designing buildings. It's just really that there's two different paths for this process of maybe experience, qualification, and the way that they're administered. And so as we see building designing as a qualification and a profession developing, it'd be interesting to see where and when we get more overlap between how they work and maybe the CPD effectively that they're doing, because it really doesn't make a lot of sense that we would have necessarily different CPD for architects and building designers if they're basically doing the same thing. If you're interested in understanding more about CPD, please check out your local regulator for specific requirements. So different states, different places, and of course, remember that all these requirements will change over time, so make sure you stay up to date. That's it for now. I hope this information was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.